Don't lie to yourself. We all have somebody in our life that's just an absolute Disney fiend. And when we get them a gift, it has to be Disney themed. Well, this one's perfect because Disney items tend to be pretty expensive. This file, however, was free, it's easy to print, and it doesn't cost that much in time. So if you want to know how I made this, please watch the rest of the video. I'll be sure to link the files in the description. If you want to print them off and follow along in the video, do that as well. Sit back and enjoy. I'm Queso Builds. All right, so I have the first 7 pieces here, and these make up the base. I have the feet in the top left corner, and then those 2 flat gold pieces are going to sandwich that brown wood part in the middle. And so what I'm going to be doing to glue this together is I'm going to be using 3D printing glue. It fuses the PLA together. This is their PLA formula. It's kind of cool. If you ever used acetone on a 3D print to smooth it out, it's kind of like that. It melts it a little bit, and then it hardens it back up. And so when you smash the 2 parts together, it fuses them. They physically become one part. Right here, I don't know what I'm doing. Just kind of lost track of what I'm doing. This needs to go on first. So with this, just make sure the square pegs are in the middle of this gold piece. They kind of flare out, the legs do. If you need any reference photos, there's one photo that comes with the actual 3D print files itself. I'll be sure, like I said, I'll link it in the description when I'm done, so you can have that, but also look it up on Google. This is a well-known cartoon from Disney, and there's tons of reference photos of Cogsworth. Alright, so I'm going to do a quick time lapse of this. I'm going to speed it up. Just basically what it does, I'm going to go ahead and glue all these pieces together. Make sure you're getting the legs in the right spot. The main square should be in towards the center. Okay. So the next part to go on is just going to be this brown piece. When you're putting on, just be careful with these tabs where the squares go through. They're floating and they're kind of delicate. So you're going to put those on. I actually ended up putting more glue on to hold that in place from the top as well. And then I smashed down this golden piece on top, and it kind of makes a sandwich. But that makes the base, and now we're done with the base. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put the base on the back burner right now. We're going to focus on the body and the head. So the head, you can tell the back of it because it has those 2 magnet register marks. And then the main body, you can tell the front of it because that's where the main hole, like the hole is for the door to swing open. So I had to sand down that square peg so the tolerances weren't so tight. So I ended up sanding it down. You're going to see me here kind of like get it set the way I wanted it to be, and then I'm going to glue it into place once everything's set with this PLA glue. So now I have that part looking fine. I'm going to focus on the main holding point, and that's the square joint right there in the middle. You're just going to flip this over in a second. I'm just making sure everything is where it needs to be, and then I'm going to put some glue on it. So I end up covering all the joints right here, and this fuses together very nicely. So I'm going to grab the third part of the main body, and that's just that's like a body base connector. It's the same kind of concept. You just have a square joint. I'm going to put some glue on it. This can go either way. There is no front or back to this. It's all the same. So you won't mix this up at all. Just make sure you cover it in glue so it holds and it won't separate. All right, so the main parts of the body are done. Okay. When you're doing a project like this, you want to chunk the smaller parts together to make larger parts, and then it's easier to put together. Okay, so I'm doing the base, the body, and now I'm going to be working on the detail pieces like the face, the clock nose, and the door. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this face on the clock. I don't think I'm going to have to glue it because the tolerances are pretty tight. Something cool about this clock is you can actually make a clock out of it. If you want to take apart an old analog clock, you can put the gears and everything right here, and there's a file with this that you can actually have the face and stuff move. I'm not going to do that, as this is going to be a prop or a set piece, so I'm not going to do that. But if you wanted to, you totally could. And if you did, let me know, and I'd love to see it. So this just goes in. Like that. There you go. Wasn't too bad. All right, so when you're putting the face in, just make sure you're applying even pressure all the way around. You don't want to put it at an angle. Okay, push it straight back, not at an angle, because if you put it at an angle, it's going to be much harder to get out. So we're going to go ahead and start putting the gold pieces on the head. They're very simple. Okay, just kind of follow along what I'm going to do. There's 2 in the front, there's 2 in the back, and then you got like a mohawk. Okay. You can kind of tell where each piece goes. I decided that I want the facing part, the part that faces out, I wanted that to be the part that was on the bed of the printer because I like the texture. So we'll get to that though in a second. So here's the mohawk. With the mohawk, there is a bit of tight tolerances, so just make sure everything lines up, and then you're gonna have to force it down. And I didn't glue it because it friction fits really well, so that won't be an issue at all. All right, so the mohawk is done. Now we're going to move to the little gold pieces. And the way these go, so I opted to the side you see, that is the side that was facing down on the print bed. I like the texture of my print bed, so that's the side I want to see. It's nice and flat, and it just looks nice in real life. Very silky and shiny. Okay, so the way these go, the steep slope part, that's going to be in the middle, and the kind of gentle sloped part is going to be towards the back side. Okay, they're all the same. You can't get them mixed up. Just find the best looking side and put that where you want. All right, so I ended up changing some things. I had to pop them out, so that's why I had that paintbrush. But I'm gonna go ahead and flip it to the back and kind of show you what I discovered as I was adding this in. So there's a little lip inside the holes here, and you want to make sure you press your part down to that lip. You can't go any further, so just make sure it's all the way in and it's seated correctly. And you can kind of see it right there. But when you make this, you'll definitely be able to see it. Just make sure it's in all the way. It's not going to be flush with the outside, so just slide it to that lip, and then that's where it's supposed to be. All right, so this part is the back side, and what I discovered is, like I said earlier, you can put magnets in this, and I kind of took a second to look for magnets because I have some, but I discovered I just have the size smaller and the size larger. So note to self, keep the right magnets or a variety of magnets on hand, because in today's 3D printing, a lot of files utilize magnets. So if you're new to 3D printing, go buy some magnets. They're really cheap on Amazon. If you want, comment, and I'll link you the ones down in the description. All right, so the way this goes is the shorthand goes that way, and the long hand, or the minute hand, goes that way. And I'll center it, so don't worry about that. I haven't glued anything yet, but that's what we're gonna go with, all right? All right, so what you're gonna see me do here is I'm gonna take a Q-tip because it's a little bit more of a finer point, and I can control that a little bit better than the brush in the bottle of the glue. So I'm going to take the hour hand. The side I have facing up was the side that was down on the print bed because all the layers they're not visible, and I like the texture that's there. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of glue or gloop on the outside of the circle. And then when I get enough, I'm going to go ahead and put it into place. There is a little bit of working time with this gloop, but it solidifies really, really quickly. So make sure when you lay it down and the PLA is touching PLA, you have a brief second or two to work with it. So I place it, and then I quickly align where I think it looks good, and I call it good, and that's where it's going to stay. So the next part I do is I'm going to get this gold and this minute hand, and I'm going to put it on top. Same thing. I'm just going to put some glue on the hour hand, and then I'm going to put some glue where the minute and the gold is kind of right there, and then I'm going to place it on top. And I'm going to align it, and there you go. One fine looking mustache. Alright, so what we got now is we got the door part to put together. So it has, I don't know what this bit's called, but the thing that goes back and forth that moves the weights. This is the main door part. It came with a hinge, so I'll have to snap that into place. And then that goes in just the back right there, and then this is kind of a cover for everything. I am going to do the part that was down on the bed because it's smoother and it looks a little bit nicer. So we'll go ahead and put that together right now. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to a little bit of glue right there, and that should be all right. All right, and now it's time to put the door with the hinges onto the body. So this part kind of scares me because you do just gotta force the hinge together, and it works. Just be careful with this though. It is a 3D print. If you're gonna print this, make sure you make these hinges nice and strong because you just press down. All right, we're getting to the end here. So 3 last things. You're gonna get the arms on. Okay, the arms have an upper part that touches the main body and a lower part that touches the main body. Just glue both of those up, and then you have a square peg. Make sure you put the arms on and make sure they're flush. Okay, the base, there's 4 holes for each of the squares to go into. Just make sure they line up, and then press down and hold for a little while and line everything up the way you want it to line up, and it will look great. Okay, and then the last thing is the back of the head. I'll put that on in a second, but make sure you don't lose that. Okay, if you have magnets, make sure the magnets go in. But overall, you are done with Cogsworth. And there you have it, the perfect gift for any Disney fanatic. If you've enjoyed this video and got some value out of it, like and subscribe. If you have a suggestion of something I should build next, comment down below. I'm Queso Builds. Thanks for watching.
Subscribe!